Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 16th of July, 2021. Coming up, the CRUSTY CANUCK podcast, episode 142. We have ourselves Justin Trudeau, of course, $440 million he promised for Quebec, plus the additional $25 million for turbine and green technology and ethics, and more information on General Vance's faux pas. All that more come up the show. Please stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the CRUSTY CANUCK podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the CRUSTY CANUCK podcast, episode 142. I'm your host, CRUSTY CANUCK, on this beautiful 16th of July, 2021. I guess in the news today, Justin Trudeau is out on the tour, as always, like he was last week out west. Now he's in La Belle Province, promising many wonderful things. Wonderful things like, $440 million to Quebec aerospace and to create jobs and fund new green technology, whatever that may be. Now, we keep hearing in the headlines about green tech. We've heard Krista Freeland talk about green tech. We've heard Catherine McKenna while she was the environment minister, and then she became Barnaby the Builder and all that good stuff, and how she would promise all these wonderful things in green technology. But the question still remains is,
where's the money, Catherine?
Exactly. Where's the money? But I guess Justin Trudeau has $440 million to, put into aerospace and what have you. And I'll be getting to that story shortly. And there's also an additional 25 or 27 million going to General Electric to create wind turbines. Okay, for this new green initiative. Now, you've heard me ramble on, ladies and gentlemen, before when it comes to green technology and what have you, when it comes to innovations, right? Over the past 30 years, we've heard about people creating car engines that runs on fryer grease, like old used fryer grease, and water and ethanol and other fuel sources. In fact, I was having a conversation the other day with one of my homesteading pages with a gentleman, and he was telling me about how certain elements of methane are contained via garbage dumps and some sewage plants that can be contained, and that gas can be used to fuel homes. In some cases, bicycles and cars. So the schematics are out there, folks, when it comes to green technology to help us all get along and get ahead. But until those days come, and until government regulations, plural, cut the red tape, cut the political dogma, and get rid of the stigma of fear, we're not going to see those innovations. We're constantly have to rely on our big brother government to do that for us, too. Right now, I'm not dissing La Belle Province. I know a lot of good Quebecers in my life, a lot of people I've worked with in the military, fantastic human beings, great leaders, great parents, great brothers, great friends. Okay. And I'm not judging La Belle Province based on a handful of government cronies, but I'll read the article that I got from the CBC here. Of course, the CBC, Canada's proletariat knows. Yes, we do this for you, comrade, because with nothing else to do. Yeah. Jawohl. Hence the Russian and German influence. Totalitarian bullshit anyway. So, according to Justin Trudeau, speaking in Montreal on Thursday, Prime Minister Trudeau announced that his government will invest $440 million to support innovation and create jobs in the aerospace industry, with the Quebec government contributing as well. Total investment comes to $693 million. Trudeau said the funding will allow Bell Textron Canada, CAE, and Pratt Whitney Canada to continue to innovate and break into new markets. Okay. I'll paraphrase the rest of this here. Basically, the investment will create 12,000 jobs, okay, and then put in 6,200 student apprenticeships. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that per se. But my logic is, why can't they show the same innovation to the rest of the country? Eh? Why is there no innovation like that towards Alberta when it comes to fossil fuels, or to BC in the forestry, or to Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and parts of Ontario when it comes to agriculture? Again, I'll ask the question.
Where's the money, Catherine?
It's all going to Quebec. And we've seen this before. Okay. Bombardier. had to get bailed out. I think Bombardier has been bailed out, 18 times in the past 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, people. Correct me if I'm wrong, fans of the podcast. But there's a few times I've heard about Bombardier being bailed out by the government. Doesn't matter if it's the Chrétien or Martin dynamic. Doesn't matter if it's the Harper government. And we all know the Trudeau government has stepped in too. Okay. So for the past better part of 30 years, Bombardier has been bailed out. And yet now this company here, or these mentioned companies, Bell Textron Canada, CAE, and Pratt & Whitney Canada, they make parts and everything. They're emphasizing this green technology. So what is this green tech? Like, what are they going to run on? Of course, electricity. That's the thing they think about. But what powers the electricity to charge these vehicles, to charge the machinery? What powers these elements of fantastic scientific endeavor? Oh, fuel. When you buy a generator at any hardware store, or any store for that matter, it runs on fuel. Now, I've seen generators run on kerosene. I've seen those. I've seen heaters run on kerosene, diesel, gasoline. Okay. If they're going to innovate, here's a suggestion when it comes to innovation. How about they set up a fund? Okay. Because they're so keen on this fucking carbon tax. They're so keen on taking more money from Canadians, especially after this pandemic, right? Why don't they set aside an innovation when it comes to looking after people rather than screwing people? Meaning, here's an incentive for you. Let's say if you want to do a wind turbine or create your own electricity, and I've seen schematics with batteries, different hubs. I've seen schematics with generating your own wind energy, okay? Generating your own hydroelectricity, being self-sufficient without relying on the grid. Because were we not told too that sometimes the grid gets overwhelmed because of heat, like we had in the heat waves earlier, right? Especially in extreme cold. And if you're left your own device to keep yourself alive, I think the average Canadian will have a good, keen sense on basic survival and looking after their homes and their land and what is theirs. Okay. Now I'll carry on with this article here too. The Trudeau highlighted the importance of the industry in Quebec, saying that the province is one of the few places capable of designing an aircraft from A to Z, in addition, making it fly and certifying it. Okay. Well, there's other places in Canada that allow manufacturing, Justin. Okay. There's other places in Canada that have the capabilities to manufacture aircraft. I think Winnipeg still has a program. There's quite a few intellects in Edmonton and Calgary that can design and fly things, as well as BC, as well as New Brunswick, right? That's also comes to shipbuilding too. You've got the West Coast that has the capability to make ships. You also have St. John, New Brunswick that can make ships, right? Excuse me. And I'm sure there's a lot of Newfoundlanders that would love the opportunity to have a shipbuilding process in St. John's or any other coastal town for that matter, right? But again, we know how Justin feels about Quebec. We know that Justin feels that Quebec is Canada and everything else has to cater to la belle province, right? So $440 million going to these programs to help a few Quebecers out, 12,000. When how many thousands out west lost their jobs because of the so-called climate change and especially the pandemic? Something to think about.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Anyway, carrying on too. This initiative, which is ready to receive applications, will start immediately, represents an additional spending of $250 million over 3 years and $92.5 million, which is earmarked for Quebec. So again, I'll leave the article, ladies and gentlemen, for you to decide. But there's a few key points here too. I'll just emphasize on as well. Especially Premier Legault emphasized that he sees no reason why Quebec should not be as wealthy as its neighbor Ontario, and that increasing the number of employment opportunities where people can make $70,000 or $80,000 a year will help close the gap. Okay, well, firstly, if you got rid of some of the provincial regulations when it comes to being innovative, when it comes to private enterprise, when it comes to people making their own money, you'd be surprised how many people in Ontario, and especially in La Belle Province, could make their own money and not have government regulations. Okay. There's quite a bit of social programs in Quebec, and hats off to the individuals that invented those programs. Dude, nothing wrong with social programs as long as people are getting paid and there's actual proper fairness across the whole fucking board. Okay. Pardon my swearing, folks, But I think you catch my point here. Now I'll carry on a bit with more of this too. He wanted to close the gap. He also said the jobs which will be created, 1,000 of them will be based in Quebec and have an average salary in that range. Okay. An average salary in that range. An average salary in that range. I say again. So it's looking after just a few people, not a majority of Canadians, not Alberta, not Saskatchewan, not Manitoba, not BC, not the North. Okay. It's not helping people out. It isn't. Okay. Now I got nothing against Quebec having money, but I want to see Ontario. I want to see Saskatchewan. I also want to see Nunavut. I want to see the North. I want to see BC. I want to see all these provinces get their share too. Get their share when they're supposed to have it, right? And to stop worrying about identity and stop worrying about other politics. We got to get along, folks. Okay. And he also says too, in this article, they want to stay competitive. Well, you want to stay competitive, then let other industries flourish as well, not just the ones in Quebec. Now, Trudeau says this is not a campaign stop, says Trudeau. While the announcement comes amid speculation about when the federal election may be called, Trudeau was adamant that his appearance in Montreal was not part of the attempt to bolster support in Quebec. Really? Election time is coming. This is coming. Yeah. More money handed here, more money handed there. Promising green tech, promising the $10 a day childcare benefit, promising this, promising that. Oh, it's not a campaign. No, not at all. Not at all. Mama, I think they're on to me. What am I to do? Oh, where's Papa Fidel when I need him? Exactly. Where is Papa Fidel? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Cuba right now, as we speak, is going through a crisis. Okay. People are demanding freedom. People are demanding liberty, medicine, food, the ability to move around and thrive at their own accords. However, that's not being happened. Now, a couple of days ago, Justin, which I said in my other episode, how he wants security and the people to get along. Now he's saying he wants democracy and freedom. So what gets me is that I'm not seeing enough of our federal leaders stand up for Cuba. I'm not seeing enough federal leaders stand up for freedom in general. Okay. We hear a few politicians in Parliament, Pierre Poilievre, Michelle Rempel, okay, Michelle Harder, or Jennifer Harder, I think, Michelle. Needless to say, I keep forgetting these names because all this information is coming at once. But I think you catch my point. We're not seeing enough of these so-called know-it-alls when it comes to peace, security, and freedom, promoting said peace, security, and freedom. Not too many of them. It puts things in perspective if they do call an election in September. I'm going to ask what you want, my listeners and viewers and fans out there. Like, what do you want? Do you want peace, security, and freedom? Or do you want to keep walking the imaginary line to make these fucking clowns happy?
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And in other news too, ladies and gentlemen, General Vance, yes, General Jonathan Vance, former CDS. This came off the Government of Canada website too. Obstruction of justice charges have been laid against retired General Jonathan Vance. The news release officially states from yesterday, July 15th. On July 15th, 2021, the Canadian Forces National Investigation Service, CFNIS, charged retired General Jonathan Vance with the following: 1 count of obstructive justice, contrary to Section 139 of the Criminal Code. On 4 February 2021, the CFNS assumed investigative responsibility into allegations of misconduct. It was during the course of this investigation the obstruction of justice is alleged to have occurred. Considering the specifics of the case and in the interest of justice, due regard to the limitations of the military justice system identified in these findings contained in the Third Independent Review Authority report, the CFNIS, decided to pursue the relevant criminal charge in the civilian justice system. As a matter of this is how proceeding through the civilian justice system, no further details can be released at this time. So basically, to summarize out there for the people that have never served in the military, they're passing it on to the civilian courts. Okay. Sometime in February, based on a global story by Mercedes Stevenson. Okay. Mr. Vance sent some emails to some of his ex-lovers or present lovers to more or less tell them, don't say anything. Don't say this, don't say that kind of thing. And I'll leave links to that story too. And I did an episode on this a little while ago in regards to that. So check out my previous episodes into what Mr. Vance was doing behind closed doors. And not to mention how Mr. Harjit Sajjan knew what was going on, as well as the PMO's office in regards to what was going on to these misconduct allegations, and how they sat in the information for months at a time. All right. Mr. Sajjan was told in 2018, that was proven. He was told in 2018 by the Canadian Forces Ombudsman at that time that this is going on, and they all failed to take action. Okay. So I just presented to you, my listeners and my viewers alike, some of the information that this government is willing to give out, what they're willing to help, who they're willing to help. Okay. Now, I never met General Vance. I've seen him a couple of times while I was still serving. Okay. And I really had nothing bad to say about him because I really know much about the guy to begin with. But when I look at leadership, okay, especially the amount of BS that the Canadian military has put up with since the latter part of 1968, and especially after the decade of darkness in the 90s, you would think that they would have reorganized something a little bit different. Now, for one, I've reached out to people, and I still reach out, and I'll say again this, ladies and gentlemen, if there's anybody out there that's been in the military or is still serving, and you have a problem, i.e. you've been harassed sexually, and if you're just being bullied, let me know. Send me an email, okay? I'll put my email at the end of the screen here for you, and you can decide. But let me know, okay? Right there, the bottom of my screen. You can be anonymous. It doesn't matter. You know, you have to give your name or your rank or your gender or how you identify. I don't care who you sleep with, okay? But nobody in our chain of command deserves to be harassed, okay? Unless you're a criminal. That's a different story. That's a whole different can of worms. Okay. But I'm reaching out to you, okay, my veterans, brothers and sisters, and serving members, if you are watching this. If you want to talk and tell me a story, please let me know. And I'll do what I can on my end to help. I still know a few people. I still have my quote unquote connections, but I'll do what I can to help. Okay. Because I was taught as an NCO to achieve professional competence. That's one of the founding rules. Okay. Now, I made my mistakes too as an NCO. I made my mistakes when it came to decisions and delegating responsibility, however, but that's the learning process when it comes to training for the next rank and learning how to hold the next rank. That's all part of it. Okay. There's no such thing as a perfect captain or a perfect warrant officer or a perfect sergeant or a perfect master corporal. Okay. But when you look up to these leaders that are up there in the senior brass, i.e. lieutenant colonel and up, and to my American listeners, lieutenant colonel and up, okay, you look up to these individuals, these men and women, and you try to hold them in that regard. They're not gods, okay? They may be a bit smarter when it comes to certain textbooks. They might have a university degree in something, okay? But I've also worked for officers that worked their way through the rank and achieved that notoriety and achieved that rank based on merit and hard work and dedication. They weren't handed the lieutenant bars or the lieutenant pips or lieutenant pips and bars because they were smart. They did it because they did the courses. They did phase training. They merited. They earned it. Okay. They qualified from time in, from time served, from experience, from learning this, learning that, how to run a section, how to run a platoon, how to run a company. There you go. But then when you see these individuals sneak around and hide about things, it tarnishes the image. And I think our military's had enough tarnishing for one lifetime, I believe. We can still get away with having a small military, but we need the efficiency, we need the equipment, we need the gear and the diplomacy. And that just comes from our senior brass, but comes from a bunch of civilians that are in politics and in parliament that should fucking understand that. So these individuals that work for the national defense ministers, okay, I don't care how many have this portfolio of this or this portfolio of that. Okay, you're letting us down. Okay, And you talk to anybody that served during the 1990s, during the decade of darkness. Now, I got in the tail end of it, but anyone who served therein, you should listen to what they have to say when it comes to some of the leadership decisions and details and reports and respect that came from the higher ups to the lowers. Okay. I really suggest that my civilian audience look into that and find the things out for yourself. It's quite interesting. Some of the stories I was told by some people that served those early years, how things went missing, how there was no money for this, no money for that. Yet there was plenty of money for parties and extravagant little parades, but nothing for the troops.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Anyhow, carrying on, ladies and gentlemen, more of this discrepancy in these ethics things. Now, when I look at Justin Trudeau, you've heard me ramble on enough about it, his whole cabinet, because let me summarize the past little while here. Okay, let's summarize how he's treated people since he got in. In 2015, what did he promise? Okay, fairness, transparency, funny ways. Okay, but what about this? Ethics. Does he have any? Now, there's going to be another investigation of his ethics coming up shortly. I don't have all the details. I just glanced over a few stories in that, but his ethics is something to be questioned, of course. Okay, with the Aga Khan, SNC Lavalin, other spending, some groping allegations, things he said to fellow parliamentarians, Jody Wilson-Raybould, Miss Philpott, and other cabinet members, what have you. Okay, so he's going to be investigated again. And he's going to be told, things, and we're going to be told things too. So is anything going to happen? We don't know. Do we know? Do you know? Do I know? I don't know. But it just seems coincident that all these things are starting to happen prior to him calling the election. And I'm pretty sure he's going to call it soon. Mainstream media and other aficionados have weighed in and asked what's going to happen in August. If he calls an election in August, what's going to happen? Will we be going to the polls in October? Right? The fair thing to do would be saying, yeah, call election when everybody comes back and let's go to the polls to November. Okay. Let's get it all done before Remembrance Day. All right. Because that day is sacred to me for a very good reason. All right. And last Remembrance Day was a joke because of the political red tape, the pandemic scares, the fear. And there's a couple of legions that I personally heard of that were doing things on an invite-only basis, which to me is pretty shitty in the name of public safety. But I digress. Let's not worry about that now. But if he's going to call an election, then he better start cleaning up his act. Okay. Now, the ethics commissioner before said that he was guilty on lying about this and lying about that. We've all seen the reports, and I'll put another link in my description for you all to sit there and to read and to judge for yourself. But I don't know what to think anymore when it comes to these clowns, to making these decisions. Okay. I honestly, I don't, ladies and gentlemen, I really have no idea. Right. And especially when he tries to promote this whole green tech thing, right? Like I said before, what exactly is green tech? Right? What plans are on the table for these clowns? What plans are on the table for us to consume and to go, oh, we're doing our part for the environment, right? Now, with all the generals getting in trouble, with all the senior officials in our military getting in trouble, and the civilian counterparts getting in trouble for doing nothing, what's left to believe in? And I can see why people are disenfranchised with politics today because of these decisions. Okay. I can see why people get upset and disenchanted. And when you actually start a conversation with someone about politics, they'll give you that look and it's like, not here, bud. I don't want to fucking talk to you about this shit. I can understand why. But I'd also say all the more reasons why we should. Okay. Now you've heard me ramble on about the Veterans Coalition Party and my ambitions to get into federal politics. That's fine. But to the average citizen out there, to just the regular Joe, the regular June, whoever, you just want to go about your business. You got to think about it, though. You actually have to spend more than 3 or 4 minutes looking at who represents you and the responsibility they have to represent you. Okay. Now, I haven't heard too much from our MP in this area. Once again, I've been solicited for funds by certain members of said Conservative Party. And I've told them every time, I'm no longer a member of the party, so please stop calling me. My wife is a Conservative. Good for her. And I back her up in her endeavors too. But they keep asking me the same question. Oh, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you really sure? You know, you gave us this money last year. What's the problem now? And I tell them every time. And yet they'd still call me. Okay? They would still call me. So stop fucking calling me. Okay? If any Conservatives are watching this right now, stop calling me. I'm no longer part of your party. I'm not part of it. Okay? I'm not condemning you. I'm not condemning the people that work for you. But stop bloody calling me. Okay? Because I got nothing left to give. Like I said, last week, I lost my job because of political BS, because of political correctness and people being offended. Oh, I can't be offended anymore. I have to be comfortable. Right? We have to make our own comfort, yet we're constantly seeing the rules change in that too. And believe it or not, when you keep calling people and soliciting for funds all the time, demanding cash, you're taking that comfort for granted. Okay? I know there's a campaign in the works because you make it that obvious all the time. But leave us the fuck alone and let us decide. And that's what I'm saying to you people out there. We got to make the decisions, folks. Who's going to represent us? Who's going to look out for us? Who's going to look out for our interests? Who's going to make sure that the dollar gets stronger again and that we don't go into copious amounts of debt? Who's going to make sure that our borders are secure? Who's going to make sure that medicines are there for us promptly and ready to go based on our health system, the amount of taxes that go into our health system? Who's going to make sure that? All right? Who's going to procure the proper equipment for our Navy, for our Air Force, for our Army? Right? Who's going to do that? Really, who's going to do it? Us, ladies and gentlemen, the men and women, young adults, black, white, brown, purple, pink, First Nation, Asian, doesn't matter. All of us Canadians are. We have to make sure that happens. And when they do call in the next election, we're going to have to vote for the better person based on their merits and not what's between their legs or the color of their skin.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Anyway, carrying on, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting a little late in the show here too. Enough of my ranting and rambling and all that stuff. But once again, we should be asking the tough questions to these individuals, like this question.
Where's the money, Catherine?
We still don't know where the money's at. How many billions were wasted on the so-called infrastructure? How much money was missing when it came to our infrastructure bank? We don't know. Are they going to investigate that too? They should. I tell you, hypothetically, if I was elected, I would put the motion in to do that for sure. Why not? Really? What have they got to lose? What have they got to hide? If they've done nothing wrong, then they'd be more willing to do it. But proof is in the pudding. They've stalled Parliament in regards to finding information on certain datas. They've stalled Parliament in regards to finding the truth in the Wee scandal. So it's there right in front of you, as plain as day, folks. Anyway, this is the part of the show. I know I missed it last episode, ladies and gentlemen, but this is the part of the show where we like to award an individual for the outstanding efforts and what have you. But today, in today's version of the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit,
The Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
and with due consideration and some well thought out plans and strategies, what have you, it's been in the news recently that the city of Toronto has done some wonderful things. They've spent approximately, or going to spend, roughly $6.3 million in changing the name Dundas. So everything that's named Dundas Street in Toronto is going to be changed because a handful of people were polled, and I guess they were offended over the name of Dundas. Now, I'll leave an article to that story in my description from True North. And apparently one individual talked to about 25 people all over the greater Toronto area, and she discovered that people just didn't like the name Dundas Street because I guess Mr. Dundas was a bad apple back in the 1800s or something. Not that it really effing matters, but what I will do is I'll graciously give the award, the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit, to the city of Toronto. Not the people of the city, but I'm sorry, Toronto City Council. Okay, not to offend my Toronto friends, but I'll give it to Toronto City Council. Okay, so well done, Toronto City Council, John Tory, and all those crownies who have sat there and decided and weighed the odds on changing a street name, all for the sake of the woke mentality. So, like I say, folks, this has been another episode of
the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
Yeah. So well done, Toronto City Council, for your ridiculous mandates, for catering into the woke mob, all 25 of them, according to the TNC report. But anyway, carrying on again about responsibility. What else can I say other than that we got to take responsibility for our shit? We do it every day. Like I said, I lost a job. I got to find another one. Okay. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep doing this podcast, and hopefully my wonderful viewers and subscribers such as yourself graciously donate. I'm not going to sit here and demand cash and demand all these wonderful things, but please consider joining and donating as much as you can every month. Every little bill helps, ladies and gentlemen, too. And do what you can. Help each other out in the same process, too. And if you check out my store, use the code ZZSS to get 10% off of all Crusty Canuck merchandise. So we got t-shirts, got hats, got stickers, got swimsuits, I got shorts, got fancy tank tops. So please check out my store, Crusty Canuck, at customizedgirl.com/s/Crusty Canuck. And if you have any problems with that link, ladies and gentlemen, please send me an email via my Gmail there too. It's all in the description there. All the information on how to get a hold of me is there in my description. I even throw in my mailing address too. So if you want to mail me some sexy swagger or anything that you desire, please, or just send me a note or two, that's fine too. Like I say, please consider donating as well. All my donation links are in the description. And you can also find me on Rumble, Brighton, and Wimkin as well. I've signed up to those pages. So I load all of my stuff on those pages now, getting there on the go, getting things ready. I'm still on the Gab. I'm still on Telegram and Signal. However, I'm finding a little more viewership on the below mentioned there, Rumble, Brighton, and Wimkin. So please, you can join me there too. If you don't like YouTube or you don't like other big time providers, you can check out those guys there too. And I accept donations there as well. So please do not be shy and do what you can. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, and comment too. Give me a thumbs up on the YouTube page too. And if you're having trouble getting notifications, let me know too. I had a couple of fans send me some nice emails in regards to how they love my show and what I'm doing, but they're not getting notifications and they're wondering if I'm shadow banned or not. So maybe that's a possibility. I don't know. But then let's keep trying. Just keep looking for the page, Crusty Canuck Podcast on YouTube and Podbean, and look for updates on my community page and my Facebook page too. And this Sunday will be another Fastballs. Another Fastball Sunday will be coming at you with myself, Adam Daniel Mezei, El Sofio Rossetti, and Fred Stockman. Hopefully all four of us can sit and brainstorm and conglomerate and talk about the buffoonery that's affecting Canadian and American politics today as we speak. So please tune into that. And like I say, please consider donating. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please consider donating. Every little bit helps. I have about 8,000 subscribers on my YouTube page, getting a few more on my Podbean and other pages too. But if I received $1 from half of my subscribers, wow, I'd be well on my way to making some great freaking podcasts and more videos too. Like I say, I'm working on comedy, getting some skits on the go. I've got a few characters I've created myself. Of course, heavily influenced by Mr. John Candy, hence the old, 3D effect. Right. So that's my little tribute to John Kennedy there. So please consider donating and tuning in and keeping updated on the above mentioned pages too there, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what to say on this glorious day other than we're going to do better. I don't buy the narrative of building back better or taking more money to pay this, robbing Peter to pay Paul or borrowing from Peter to rob Paul, whatever dynamic. We all know it's a con, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy that the provincial borders have opened up. I'm happy that those restrictions have been lifted, but there's still a lot of people out there getting it up the chuff because of certain employers and certain individuals that still want to wear their masks. Now, I don't care if you wear a mask. I don't care if you want the jab. I don't care what you want to do. Okay. But we got to stop handing people shit sandwiches and calling them submarines. Okay. We know for a fact that Mr. Trudeau is promoting a campaign. That's not hard to figure out. Mr. O'Toole has done it. Mr. Jagmeet Singh's doing it because Mr. Singh is constantly worrying about, let's tax the rich. We got to tax the rich. All 44 billionaires in Canada. Oh my God, they're not paying their share of tax. When there's other things to worry about other than 44 rich people. Who the fuck cares? Okay, pardon my swearing again, ladies and gentlemen. But I think there's more at stake here than just 44 rich people not paying their fair share of taxes. Okay? How many of these politicians are paying their fair share of taxes too? How many people that have supported these politicians are paying their fair share of taxes? Okay, I just got a tax bill in the mail not even 2 days ago stating that I owe more. Okay. So I think you get my point, ladies and gentlemen. We got to stop worrying about who is rich and let's start worrying about who wants to get ahead. Okay. I've had numerous debates with little commie kids on my Facebook page and my YouTube in regards to fairness and equality and all this stuff. Equality of opportunity is where it's at. Okay. And the more we promote the equality of opportunity, the more people are going to come out to work. The more people are going to want to be incentivized to do something. But instead, we've got these government officials, and I will include some of the conservatives in this model too. Okay. People have become reliant on the CERB and the CEBA and the handouts. Okay. The federal government wants to give the seniors a lump sum of $500 a head. Yeah. Golf clap on that one. When I personally know seniors that need more than $500, just one lump sum. An extra $500 a month would be nice. Okay. That would be sufficient, would it not be? Would it not be more sufficient to have seniors get an extra $500 a month? Right? Wouldn't that be a little more sufficient to help those seniors out? I would say so. But instead, the federal government wants to do one lump sum thinking they're doing us a favor. Oh, we're doing this because we care. Yeah. Okay. Well, that shows how much you care. Especially other investigations that have gone into the whole LTC issues, long-term care homes, when they found bugs and they found dirty diapers and they found people literally lying in their shit and their piss and dehydration, what have you. So I think seniors need a better deal than $500 in once. I think they need a big raise when it comes to pensions, right? So that's one of my platforms there too, when I get into the federal ring there, ladies and gentlemen. Anyhow, enough of my bantering and whining. This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and I want to take a special minute, and I want to thank all of you, my listeners and my friends out there too, especially individuals the past couple of days who've sent me some great emails, some information on what they have discovered with certain nurses and doctors in regards to turning a new leaf kind of thing. People coming out of the woodwork saying there's more to this than just the fear. People presenting me with certain scientific data. Fucking interesting. Thank you, folks. And I want to thank all of my viewers and listeners out there too who have come out to every fastball so far. I know I don't post it enough, but I want to say thank you all for the kindness, for the questions, for the watching, for the criticism too. And you guys with the hate mail. I got a couple of hate mails there today. I'm going to probably compile an episode in the future with all my hate mail. But in the meantime, keep it all coming, folks. All the great responses, all the great emails, thumbs up, please. And thank you again for being such a great audience. You guys rock. I'm just on cloud nine here with some of the responses I get from some of you all. And thank you very much, especially some of my British listeners and my Eastern European listeners for the thumbs up and the great words of encouragement. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for those insights. But like I said, I'm in Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 16th of July, 2021. I'm going to go out and maybe cut the grass. excuse me, hasn't grown too much in the past few days because it's been so bloody hot and humid. But I'll see what I can do. Water the plants, take the dogs out for a stroll, and I might even have a beer. I don't know. We'll see. Anyhow, we do what we can to persevere in these trying times. And regardless of how you personally feel about this guy, we all know he's a putz. Mr. Justin Trudeau, as far as I'm concerned, has no right being in politics, and he's too much of an ass kisser. Self-explanatory right there. But I know we can do better, and I know we will persevere, and we'll see the light at the end of this manufactured darkness. Like I say, folks, like after your friends and loved ones, do what you can to help each other out to the best of your abilities. And we shall persevere this. We'll keep our chins up and do what we can. Like I say, thank you again to my viewers and listeners out there. You guys are amazing. And remember, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you this Sunday on the Fastball. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Oh, yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthy.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane, and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.